And I spoke at the top of the show about the hypocrisy of the left who are shamelessly using race to campaign for Kamala Harris. But God forbid anyone else should try. I mean, can you imagine if in Australia we had something like white blokes for Albo? I mean, seriously. Now, I spoke to Dr. Trey Peenie for my column in the Daily Telegraph. Have a read. His resume is super long. It includes candidate for Congress, former soldier, police officer, and for the purposes of what we are discussing here, I'm allowed to identify him as a very proud African-American man. Now, Dr. Peenie has consistently called out the left's hypocrisy and use of identity politics to divide us. And I'm so pleased to say that he joins me now. Dr. Peenie, thank you so much for coming on and, of course, for contributing to my article. It's getting a fair bit of attention. Some people like it, some people don't. What's your reaction to what I wrote?
It's right on, spot on point. It's unfortunate that we've come back to a place where race and all these social issues are now the prime topic of our political environment. But that's where we are right now, because that's exactly what the progressives want. They want us fighting over race. They want us fighting over social agendas and men playing, women's sports and all that craziness, because they know that that's where half of the population doesn't want to be. So, it's just unfortunate that we're at this place in time and this era of politics. But I do believe that we'll come out on the other side, because people are simply tired of it. Too many people are being hurt by these radical progressive agendas.
Oh, the hypocrisy of it is just so mind-blowing, isn't it? That the same people who were behind the Black Lives Matter movement, which was meant to be this push for equality, but you know better than anyone what it was really about. When it suits them, one rule. When it doesn't suit them, another rule. I mean, did they see the hypocrisy, do you think?
They see it. They know exactly what they're doing. You got to think, Erin, I've been, this is something that I've fought for several years. I grew up in this type of environment, in the inner city. Those narratives work really well. It's all about race and, white man holding you down, and, there are no opportunities because of the people at the top. And, when you think about it, it's like these different narratives are being used to keep people in their place. I thank God every day that I was able to break through it and get out of my environment. I was looking at the Kamala, I guess her introduction the other day, and I was, I'm looking at Megan Thee Stallion. Nothing against Megan. Megan, she's a performer. There's nothing against her. But the reality is, man, what we're sowing to our young women, rather than talking about being professionals and what we can be as a Black community and young Black women, man, it was giving them the wrong thing. I mean, now everyone feels like that's the only way to move forward is to twerk. And I just don't believe that we're turning our young women up to be young professionals for the future doing that kind of stuff. I don't want anybody saying I'm one of these feminist guys that don't want women to be independent. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, we want to groom people, young people, to be professionals. We want to have the next leaders. We want to be able to compete with countries like China and India, but we can't because we're focused on this kind of stuff, the dance and, what makes us feel good as opposed to, thinking and trying to get ahead. And that's what I do with my daughters, right? I have groomed my daughters to be young professionals because I want them to be leaders in this world. And we have to get back to that point.
Oh, absolutely. Women of substance. I agree with you entirely on that. Mind you, you can still have a twerk if you're doing it for fun. I think that's completely okay. But look, Kamala seems to be doing a lot better than the Republicans probably ever envisaged in the polls. Are you now starting to see this potentially the pushing out of Joe Biden as a bit of an own goal?
Oh, man, I think it's starting to backfire a little bit because we didn't, look, there's no doubt. I think that was somewhat of a, look, we always count on this empathetic vote, on the Republican side. We know that, they'll turn out for someone like a Barack Obama. It was something new that was energizing. People wanted to see it happen. So we knew the young people and everyone was going to come out, all the minorities, all that was going to work. But Biden, people, you've seen 3.5 years of what this guy can do, and he's well beyond the age of what I think a president should be. I think there should definitely be some kind of term limits. But anyway, the reality is this guy people saw him stumbling and falling all over the place, and the reality is he wasn't ready. He wasn't prepared to lead, and we would have knocked him out. I mean, the polls had us definitely knocking out Joe Biden. But you throw in something new. It's a shiny new object. I'm just hoping that this the little time that we have before the election, that it's enough time for the newness to wear off, for the shiny new object syndrome to wear off. So because we do have to worry about the first. You got to think when President Trump got elected the last time. Those people were that generation of kids were 10 years old. Now these people are of voting age, and what will that do to the election? And we really don't know. But I think we have to be smart. We got to turn out as conservatives, and we got to find a way to grab these young people and independent voters. We got to find a way to grab them. I mean, Republican, Democrat, it'll be head on. But we got to find a way to get the people there in the middle and the people that traditionally won't vote.
You are brilliant, Dr. Trey Peenie. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. Absolutely, Erin. Y'all be safe.